Preeta, it is live.
Yes. Preeta.
She is there, ma'am, in the live stream.
Okay.
You just tell me if the live stream is starting. Yes, it is starting. Yes. She is there, ma'am, in the live stream.
Okay.
A very good morning to all the participants. I kindly request you to wait for a few minutes till we have the others also join us.
Walter, are they joining?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Preeta, could you let us know how many are there? Okay.
I'm not able to hear Preeta. Why?
No, she is in the YouTube live stream, ma'am.
Oh, so you can hear her beside you, is it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
Good morning, Sri Vidya ma'am. Good morning, Savita ma'am. I kindly request the participants to wait for 5 minutes. We will start shortly. Preeta, any update on the number of participants? Okay.
How many, Walter?
Close to 40 now.
Okay.
We have just over 50 participants, ma'am.
Okay.
Shall we start? Let the others join in.
Yeah, if it, I
It
think if
is
it's
learning.
getting late, if Vijayan is okay, we can start.
Yes, I'm fine. Yes. So,
Vijayan, shall we start?
yes, I'm just sharing my screen. Just a moment. I'm ready right there. Yeah.
A very pleasant morning to all the participants. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. C'est un très grand plaisir de vous accueillir pour ce webinaire interactif organisé par le département d'anglais et d'autres langues étrangères, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram. It is a great pleasure to invite all the participants for this interactive webinar on creative thinking and the originality of expression, pleasure of learning French through fables by Monsieur Vijayan, Assistant Professor, Mahatma Gandhi College, Mahe. This program is organized by the Department of English and Other Foreign Languages, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram Campus. At this juncture, I would like to request Dr. Rama, Head and Professor, Department of English and Other Foreign Languages, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Walter. Good morning to the very young students and all other attendees. The Department of English and Foreign Languages, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram Campus, extends a hearty welcome to every one of you present here to the interactive webinar on creative thinking and originality of expression, pleasure of learning through fables. We have with us Mr. Vijayan Agnishwaran, a young man with a lot of proficiency to his credit, yet very simple and humble. We are very fortunate to have him in our midst today. He's currently pursuing his PhD in French didactics from the University of Montpellier, France. He has been closely associated with Alliance Chennai and has served in various capacities, teaching French all over the country. He has also been involved in training at corporates too. Vijayan's expertise is in didactics, and he's a scholarship holder of Belk training course and also intensive training for teachers of French as a foreign language, Cavilum, France. He also has some creditable publications to his credit in reputed international journals. However, special mention must be made of the fact that he has published in September 2016, Fable, a book which aims at producing literature to debutants in a class of French as a foreign language. And it's done by published by none other than the globally acclaimed publisher Langers. Mr. Vijayan is currently serving as assistant professor in French, Mahatma Gandhi College, Mahe. I express my wholehearted thanks to Vijayan and I invite him to take over the session. Over to you, Vijayan.
Yeah. Thank you, madam. So, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. Good morning. As I'm here to, go through the whole session. Of course, it'll be in English. I thought of doing it in French, but many of you are, mostly Anglophones, and probably, you're the ones who will be taking French very soon. So I'm happy to see you all here and ready to interact with me in this eventful morning. So it gives me immense pleasure to deliver this webinar organized by SRM University, Ramapuram Campus, to determined learners like you You're really going to enjoy the whole session. So I'm going to share interesting ideas relating to literature and pedagogy, so which will help you to experience the pleasure of learning. Literature is a way of life. It brings the world in front of your eyes, imparts knowledge, entertains, communicates human values, and solicits your opinion. So mankind has been successful in ruling the earth through the process of communication compared to other species, that is animals. So literature is a major vehicle for reaching the audience through desired ideas, perceptions, and convictions. The natural barrier for any author is getting across his ideas to the target group. Many approaches have been tried in this regard, so by the authors, and one of them is using animals for expressing their thoughts. The reason for such an approach is that every man shares rather, you know, characteristics of animals and retains his childish behavior even in old age. This can be brought out or portrayed by the fact that even at an old age, the cartoon pictures like Tom and Jerry interest us a lot. They are enjoyed by people of all ages. Further, the concepts and ideas are better absorbed by the audience through expressions of animals. I hope you share the same idea. You'll be of the same opinion, I guess. So this is true, especially for students of schools and colleges. That is you. So in this background, I've chosen to write a book, Fable, so which depicts the truth of living through animal behavior, much like Panchatantra. But here I would wish to emphasize that Panchatantra and fables of La Fontaine are independently developed to teach people. Well, so before we go through, of course, I move on to my slideshow here. The topic today is, well, as you know, I'm just sharing my screen. Give me 2 seconds.
Just take your time, Vijay.
Yeah. So this is, well, our topic today is creative thinking and originality of expression. Pleasure of learning French through fables. Well, so before we go through, you see there, in the background, something there. So it's about a fable. So what is a fable? The first question. Let me have answers, from you people. So let me uh, just go through your answers. Yes. What is a fable? First question. In your opinion, what is a fable?
The
I'm sure
participants,
you have come across fables. So participants can, type in their replies in the chat boxes and let me know how many of you know the definition of a fable. A short story, yes, it's a short story. Certainly, yes. Can I have more to that? Short story is moral, precisely, yes. There is always a moral. Fable is a series of short stories, yes. Moral story using animals, often animals, yes, very often. The form of fable is a kind of a story in disguise of the form of dictatism. Yes, we can accept to some extent because yes, didactics is also involved there. So short stories, meaningful content, yes, certainly. Moral stories, yes, using animals, conveying a moral short story, very well. So I think you all know now what I know. Yes, some more replies are coming up. Short story which teaches a lesson. Certainly, yes, you'll be knowing better about that. Yes, certainly. So I think yes, you all know the definition of a fable, more or less the definition of a fable. Personified characters. Yes, more precise. That's more precise, and ends with the moral. Excellent. So let me move on to to my presentation here. Just give me 2 seconds. Thanks for the answers. It is interesting, and I'm glad that you know a lot about about fables. Okay, let me share the screen now. So yes, what is a fable? It's a narration in verse where we draw models. As you told, it's a narration, of course, in verses. Okay, so where we draw a model. So if you go through fables of La Fontaine, there are a lot of fables which we'll be discussing even later. So when we go through fables of La Fontaine, you find number of animals, as you have already mentioned there. So I've seen some replies. Yes, so the number of animals as protagonists or actors. So protagonist means an actor. So which represent humans. That's important. Yes. So you may find a fox, a lion, cat, mouse, and many other animals, which give shape to the fable and impart a lesson or moral. Yes. As you've told, you're already given those keywords. That is, moral. Yes, animals as protagonists, which represent humans. So these are all the key words, related to the word fable, the term fable rather. Yes. So represents humans. I mean, animals represent humans. Why? The fabulist La Fontaine compares animals to humans. That is, lion to a king, fox to ministers, a donkey to an ape man, and so on. Hence, fable represent a symbolic universe. In other words, the animals often symbolize somebody in the king's palace. So the king's palace. So of course, La Fontaine uh, criticizes or even the decisions of the king sometimes and decision of the ministers that will go into a little later. And besides, for the information, the author of a fable is known as a fabulist. So my second question before going through is, yes, you have those animals there, often have animals as protagonists. So, do you know some fables? My second question to you, participants. Do you know some fables? Connaissez-vous des fables? En français, in French. So, let me have answers. You can name a few fables. What are fables? It need not be in French. It can be in any language. Can you cite some of them? Yes. Renard raisin, le renard et le raisin. Yes. Yes, the fox and the grapes. Interesting fable, which also I guess exists in Panchatantra. That's interesting. Jungle Book. To some extent, Panchatantra, yes, collection of fables. Can you name a few in Panchatantra? We can Jakarta, yes, Jakarta fables are there. Mm-hmm. Rivière, les gentilshommes, right? A Corvo Redana, of course, you found out, the background, Lion King. Lion King, yes, all right. Hare and Tortoise, certainly, yes. Let me have more answers. The Petit Prince. The Petit Prince is not exactly a fable. It's more over, a story. The Petit Prince, Antoine Saint-Exupéry. Aesop's fable, yes, certainly. Aesop's fables are very interesting. And La Fontaine was inspired by Panchatantra and Aesop fables. So Greedy Mouse, yes, okay. Renard et le raisin, le renard et le raisin, oui. The Cunning Fox. The Greedy Dog. Well, I need to I mean, I need to know from which collection it comes from. George Orwell novel. No, novels are different from fables. Fables are kind of a poetry. Goose with golden eggs, yes. So that's all interesting there. So number of fables coming up in our types of zebra. Okay, so yes, thank you for all your replies. So Cigale de Fumi, certainly, yes, you know that. That's one of the fables of La Fontaine. Yes, stripes of the zebra. Lion à la rat, plutôt lion le moucheron, if I can correct you. The fox and the grass. Lion King, once again, it's a little different. Man in the wood. Okay, so let me move on. Thank you for all your answers, and let me share the, of course. So hope you all see there. Just give me a moment. So yes, moving on to the slides. So you certainly know this fable. Somebody told, gave the answer. So that is Le Renard et Le Coco. I mean, so this is a very famous, very famous, fable in French as well as in, it's well known in our country as well. So, well, so you see the picture there. So it's about, a crow. Yes, it's a fable of a crow or fox. You certainly know the Panchatantra version of it. You need to know the story. There's one among the fables of La Fontaine as well. Again, the French version, the crow holds on to a piece of cheese and not a vada. In Indian version, it holds on to a vada. So that's the difference. The rest of the story being the same, where the fox, flatters the crow and invites him to sing. The crow finally, loses its prey. So there is a moral behind this, not to be cheated by those cunning fellows. So that is the fox. Fox always represents cunning people, which is a kind of image given to a fox, which may not be true. Okay. So anyway, so moving on. So this is your fox and crow fable. Conti narrative will not be doing that here. So that's interesting. And well, so before I move on, I would like you to answer to this question as well. So do you know Jean de La Fontaine? So do you know Jean de La Fontaine? If yes, what are his contributions to the French literary world? So this is my question. Do you know Jean de La Fontaine? In yes, if yes, if yes, what are his contributions to the French literary world? The question is there on the screen for you to see and give short answers. What do you know about him? So students, you can type your answers. Il a écrit les fables. Oui, exactement, il a écrit les fables. He wrote fables. Written poems and stories other than fables too. Excellent. That's great. Yes, he has written a number of books other than fables. Fables in forms of poems. Yes, fables are in fact is a form of a poem. In fact, Nora Fontaine was a fabulist, certainly. Yes, French fabulist. Très bien. Author Laetier Le Paulet, excellent. Yes, Laetier Le Paulet is one of the well known fable and well appreciated as well. So poems and stories, yes, yes, poems and stories certainly. Number of poems. Les Fables, oui. You can type in what all you know about Jean de La Fontaine as well. Human rights, to some extent associated with fables, to some extent. Okay. Famous for fables, yes. Great. Wolf and the Lamb. Belongs to the 17th century. That's great. So you know something about Jean de La Fontaine. So yes, he belongs to the 17th century, or the fabulist of 17th century times. Right, poems and short in form of stories. So thank you for all your replies. So moving on, moving back avec une morale caractère, bon voilà, les animaux sont les protagonistes. Fox and the Billy Goat, right? Number of answers, fabulous. Merci pour toutes les réponses. C'est gentil, c'est bon. So yes, as you say, he is well, a fabulist, a well-known fabulist in the 17th century. Well-known writer of the era. So you got, quelle similarité? What similarities between Panchatantra and Fables of La Fontaine? Fable de La Fontaine. Yeah. So we just talked. Spoke about that a bit. To start with, we have got a lot of similarities. First of all, some of the fables as such are similar, and secondly, animals are protagonists. And since we Indians are all fond of Panchatantra tales, it is a pleasure to read the fables of La Fontaine and appreciate the storyline and the similarities, thereby comparing Indian and French culture. So there's a lot to it. Yes. All right. Moving on. So about fables, more about fables, students. So fables of La Fontaine are intended for all, as I told you, for all ages, children, adolescents, and adults. As I already mentioned before, cartoons and tales interest us at any age. Wouldn't we be interested to listen to tales narrated by our father or grandfather, even at the age of 40 or 60? The answer is yes. Though we don't ask for it, we all do have that longing to hear to them once again and again. The fables of La Fontaine meet the requirements. The motto of fables is please and instruct. So that's the best way of teaching according to La Fontaine. So normal classes stuffed with subject content may often bore you, but learning French through fables before anything else triggers joy of learning, so which is very essential. The more you like the lesson, the subject, the better you grasp, and you're happy of having learned and achieved something at the end. Hope you all agree with me. Yes? So La Fontaine uses comic imitation. Comic imitations to amuse and to teach. As I mentioned previously, animals assume the role of humans and criticize their acts in a humorous manner, so which divert and entertain you. So, in certain, you would have gone through certain fables, many of fables, Panchatantra, Aesop's, so on, and you have experienced this joy, right? So, the La Fontaine's first collection is dedicated to the Dauphin. All right, so the Dauphin was a Dauphin. Dauphin is a successor generally. That's it's the meaning. That's the young prince. The young prince is the son of King Louis XIV. Louis XIV is Louis XIV. Right. Later, he addresses to the young Duke of Bourgogne. So through fables, the fabulist paints a society and a royal life. He discreetly opposes politics of conquest and military glory. Jean de La Fontaine is inarguably one of the famous authors of 17th century, 17e siècle, thanks to his fables, where he dares to criticize the acts of ministers in the palace, and even that of the king Louis XIV. So I told you about this a little earlier. So in fact, Louis XIV and Louis XIV started his reign in 1643, which lasted for more than 60 years. 60 years. And after 15 odd years of ruling, he started to lead a kingdom of absolute monarchy. The king and the council were the ones who took the decisions. So La Fontaine, through his fables, criticized directly or indirectly these decisions. So besides, Jean de La Fontaine, the fabulist, uses his fables to show us the eternal truth of the man and the world relation and propose the art of living. So La Fontaine wishes to show an attitude of thinking with evolutions, variations, and contradictions in his work. He uses fables for criticizing the absolute monarchs, ambitious and easily flattered by others, and those who resort to violence. So I just spoke about the history precisely about the absolute monarchy of Louis XIV, Louis XIV, which often came under criticism in the masterpiece of La Fontaine, that is the Fables. So you can see that La Fontaine is always into criticizing the acts of the ministers, since it was a monarchy and that was not good for the people. That's what he felt, and many of the citizens felt as well. So about the fabulist, yes, as I told you, Jean de La Fontaine is a fabulist. You have the photo there. He is Jean de La Fontaine. He was born on 8 July 1621 in Chateau Thierry in a bourgeois milieu. So what's a bourgeois? Bourgeois is a middle class family. So he is from a middle class. And his father was the king's counselor, so conseiller du roi, we call it in French, and also inspector of forests and waterways. So La Fontaine married Marie Ricard. So, well, let me shift in. So he married Marie Ricard in 1647. So Marie Ricard was a heiress, a daughter of a magistrate. Okay, and the Duchess of Orleans, also known as Françoise Louise de la Beaume Leblanc. Okay, Duchesse de la Vallière. So I repeat, Françoise Louise de la Beaume Leblanc, Duchesse de la Vallière, was La Fontaine's protector for 8 years. So why does he need a protector? It's very evident, because he criticizes the acts of kings, that of ministers, and that of people in the palace. So often he puts himself into trouble. He's in a spot of bother, so he needs somebody to protect him. And the person who came, who took up the job, was the Duchess of Orleans. Okay, Duchesse d'Orléans, call her in French. So after the death of Duchesse d'Orléans, Madame de la Sablière, also known as Marguerite Essin, I repeat, Marguerite Essin, she was a woman of letters. So who is a woman of letter? A lady engaged in literary pursuits, especially a professional writer. So she took over and she became his protector then on. So here are the photos of images of La Duchesse d'Orléans and Madame de la Sablière. So the fabulist read this last on 13th April 1695 in Paris. So the Père Lachaise cemetery, where he was buried, is the most famous cemetery of Paris. Yes. So there are other authors as well, few other authors who are buried in the same cemetery, and it is the most famous one in Paris. So about the fabulist still. So this time, more about his professional works. As you see there, about this is about the fabulous professional lives. To start with, La Fontaine wrote two long poems, Adoni in 1658 and Songe de Beau in 1659. For his protector, Fouquet. There was one protector before the two ladies there. So his name was Fouquet. And then and then he wrote a collection of contes et nouvelles, that is tales and novels, in 1665. However, the collection of fables is his masterpiece. La Fontaine embraced full range of genre, that is, theatre, prose, narration, and especially poetry. Yes, so most of his works is kind of a poetry genre. Okay, he also, of course, he embraced a full range of genres. So there's no doubt about it. So my question before continuing is: so what aspects of a language class do you like the most? Yeah. So question in the screen. So what aspects of a language class do you like the most? I repeat, what aspects of a language class? Be it any language, English, Tamil, Hindi. So what aspects of language class do you like the most? Maybe French, maybe German, maybe Spanish. It's up to you. So you can give your answers there. English. All right. But what aspects precisely? French. No, I'm not asking about the language. I'm not asking about the language. What aspects of a French class or of an English class? You know, some particular exchange of cultural ideas. Thank you. Yes, that's interesting. To know, yeah, I mean, a language is not only about grammar or vocabulary. It's also about knowing about culture. Yes. Other answers? Stories by the teacher. Yes, why not? Interesting. Me too. Me too. I used to like those stories. A number of stories in English class. Yes, the history part, that's interesting as well. Yes, we got a number of emperors in France. Exchange of thoughts and ideas. Yeah, that is an interactive session. Storytelling in different ways, like poems and poets, stories. Yes, that's interesting as well. It's evolution. Great, that's more related to history and civilization as well. Poetry and music. Great. So that's just, what you call the didactics part of it. That's interesting as well. The pronunciation of words. Yes, context in French. Yes, that's interesting. Very interesting. Expressions, listening, idioms, speaking, right? All related didactics. That's just important. Yes. Ancient literature. Very important and very interesting. Cultural ideas and thoughts. Thanks. Yes, evolution, and then we seen. That's great. Phonetics. Yes, a language is always related to phonetics, literature, culture, to grammar. So phonetics, forms an important part as well. Civilisation, oui, très bien. The accents used in the culture, thanks. Teachers, yeah, about the history. Sharing concepts. Yeah, so that's the exchange of ideas. Rather, production oral, we call it in English, in French. Learning new things, new words, exposure to new world, that's important as well. You need to have vocabulary to express. Exchange ideas. Yeah, thank you. Thank you all. So the culture, yes, thank you. So let me move on back to the, to my presentation. So we all saw about the, fabulist professional life, about the fables, and now why literature in class of so of course fables form part of literature. So we need literature to savor joy of learning, certainly. So it is necessary to look beyond basic vocabulary, isn't it? So yes, so it is necessary to look beyond basic vocabulary and fundamental notions of morphosyntax. The morphosyntax is still related to grammar. That's a more, a technical term in dialectics. So we have to, so we need to have a literature to know more about the cultural practices, customs, habits, traditions of France and French people. So you all told this. So I'm glad that you know all, about all these, aspects of a language. So this basically helps in avoiding cultural shocks, false moves, and blunders. Yeah, and learning of grammar alone is not an exhaustive language study. So it is, literature is more than a language. I hope you have, you share the same opinion. Yeah, of course, grammar is very important. Literature also. So, well, moving on. Let us have a small citation. That's a citation. So, parce qu'une littérature s'ouvre au monde, le monde s'ouvre à elle. Cette littérature, dans tous les États, devient par là, même un moteur précieux dans l'apprentissage du fleu. So, translation of this: because literature opens to the world opens to it, and literature in all its states and all its states. So, one is the form, another is the state. That's the region. So, like Tamil Nadu or something like that. So, becomes thereby a precious engine in the learning of fleur. So, first of all, I need to say what is fleur. Well, I forgot to say fleur is français langue étrangère. So, French is a French. As a foreign language, okay? So class of French is a foreign language. So this is a translation citation from Jean-Marc Defaille et al. So that is in a book called Les Littératures en fleur, état des lieux et nouvelles perspectives. That's interesting citation. So thought of showing this to you. Moving on. So since long literary works were used as efficient pedagogy tools in French language class, the learners found richness of language from masterpieces of French literature. So it was epoch or a period where traditional methodology was used, wherein the students used to read a lot of literary works, translated them, thereby learning little by little, about the culture and civilization of France. So it was a way for them to learn grammar as well. Yeah, they used to analyze the sentences used in literary works, and little by little, learn the construction of phrases or sentences, and also the tenses. So before we, in today's world, of course, we are, into direct learning of grammar, indirect learning of grammar, but in the ancient time, it was more of literature. So through literature, they used to learn grammar. So they were able to get a hold, get hold of the language and the culture because they knew about literature as well. Moving on, the acquisition of, so as I told you, the acquisition of language and French literature, which are inseparable from each other, leads to discovery of vast French civilization. So you know that. So literature, is associated to culture, civilization, history, so becomes all the more important in a French language class. So now, why fables in class of fleur? So why fables in class of French as a foreign language? So fables chosen with care is an important pedagogy tool in class of fleur. So short and speech fables, which are often simple in language, are real assets for learners of French with minimum knowledge of language. So as I told you, the language and style used by La Fontaine relatively simple. The two objectives of fables, that is to teach and to please, are attained. So this makes learning a joy. Yeah. So the fables contain invariably a moral, as you told. Many of you had told that in the beginning. Have given that answer. That's interesting. So these morals help guiding the students in life. For example, the fable, le savetier, le financier. That's the cobbler and the financier, and lines the fact. I don't know whether you know this fable, but it's an interesting fable which I like a lot, and it's also famous. So, well appreciated all over the world. So the cobbler, there is a financier and a cobbler. The cobbler is a singer as well. So he doesn't have any money with him, but he used to have a peace of mind. So early morning he starts to sing, and of course he's very happy in his life. But the financier, that is his voisin, that is his neighbor, he is he's a Kujidor. That is, he has a lot of money. So he has that, he doesn't have the peace of mind because worrying, he's always worried about the safety of the money he possesses. So what happens? He doesn't find sleep. No, he cannot sleep. So let's say at morning 3 or 4 o'clock, when he tries to get some sleep, this cobbler sings and he wakes him up. So the financier decides to give some, money to the cobbler. The cobbler accepts the money with glee, that is some gold coins, and buries the money into a small place in his home, and also his joy. So no more of singing. The financier was happy because he was able to find some sleep, at least in the early morning. So this went on, and finally, the cobbler was fed up with this. Went and returned those écus, we call it. We used to call them those gold coins écus, first écus. Went and returned the gold coins to the financier, found back his peace of mind and also his voice. In other words, he started singing once again. So there is a moral behind this. So money is not always, that doesn't bring happiness. It doesn't always bring happiness. So learning of fables is an occasion for learners to penetrate in the world of the French literature. It is needed, it is indeed interesting to see animals wearing the mask of different human beings. Of course, in this particular fable, as I told you, the cobbler and the financier, they are two men. So often it's animals, which play the roles there. Who are the protagonists? Right. Moving on. Yeah, the cross culture. Once again, the fables promote cross culture in class of fleur. The learners have the joy of comparing fables of Fontaine with those of Francis and The Crow and the Fox fable, the Corbeau Renard, as you mentioned there, in your chats is a good example, which relates to the intercultural aspect. So you students can appreciate the beauty and richness of French language, right? So well, now we're going to work on a fable, and so this is my book Fable, okay, and of course it is not fabule, it's fable, because fabule has a little, a negative sense. Fabule basically means you're narrating something, you're giving some reasons to escape punishment, which the small children often do. So fable is the name I gave to my book, which is coined rather instead of using fabule. The français travail les cadres, published of course, but you see, that is already told to you. So we are going to listen to the fable. So before going through, uh, going into the details, so let us listen to the fable, Lion abattu par l'homme. So I request Dr. Walter to play the fable, please.
Yes, one sec.
Yeah.
I request the participants to just listen. I'll play this twice.
Yeah, so I'm sorry to interrupt. So you're going to listen it twice, and you see in the screen a small comprehension overall. Those who learn some French can try answering this. Few words you'll be trying to, capter the mot. That is, you'll be trying to, you'll be listening to the fable in French, of course, and you'll be trying to find out these blanks. Find out the words which can fill in the particular blanks. On exposé une où avait tracé un lion des monstres par un seul homme terrassé, les tiré gloire, and so on. Okay, and later on, of course, I'll be explaining this fable, translating this fable into English, so that one and all, all our students understand what it is about. But now the task is for those French students to try and find out the answers. Yes, thank you, Dr. Walter. So
Yes, Vijayan, shall I go ahead and play the audio?
Yes, please.
Yes, it has come back. Yes.
Le lion abattu par l'homme. On exposait une peinture où l'artisan avait tracé un lion d'immense stature par un seul homme terrassé. Les regardants en tiraient gloire. Un lion, en passant, rabattit leur caquet. Je vois bien, dit-il, qu'en effet, on vous donne ici la victoire. Mais l'ouvrier vous a déçu. Il avait liberté de feindre. Avec plus de raison, nous aurions le dessus. Si mes confrères savaient peindre.
So you listen to the fable. Hope it was interesting. And were you able to find the answers? Well, I'm not going to ask the answers right now. You'll be listening to the fable once again and you'll be trying to find out the answers which you are not able to find out, which you will not be able to decipher in the first listening part, dans la première compréhension. Oui. Deuxième écoute, s'il vous plaît, the second.
Le lion abattu par l'homme. On exposait une peinture. Le lion abattu par l'homme. On exposait une peinture où l'artisan avait tracé un lion d'immense stature par un seul homme terrassé. Les regardants en tiraient gloire. Un lion, en passant, rabattit leur caquet. Je vois bien, dit-il, qu'en effet, on vous donne ici la victoire. Mais l'ouvrier vous a déçu. Il avait liberté de feindre. Avec plus de raison, nous aurions le dessus. Si mes confrères savaient peindre.
So students, I would like to, you to give some answers. I hope you have, capté des mots. Vous aurez pu capter des mots. Oui. Donc, la première réponse, the first answer, on exposé une. Let me have the answers on the screen. Let me see who have got it right. Peinture, excellent. Voilà, on exposé une peinture. Très bien, une peinture. Très très bien. Alors le deuxième, où l'artisan avait, voilà, bon, l'artisan, c'était la bonne réponse. Très bien, merci. Yeah, that was the right answer. Artisan is a painter. Yes, in peinture. Okay, so that was the first answer. Yes, l'artisan. Thank you. Thanks for the reply. Third one, à Lyon, dimanche, statue. Super, excellent. Et puis, par un seul homme, regardons, no, not really, par un seul homme, I guess I have, I know, the blank there. Oh no, yes, les regardons, you're right. Les regardons, A-N-T-S, A-N-T-S. Les regardons, oui, anti-régoire. Excellent, merci. Et puis, bon, vous avez à Lyon en passant, Rabati Rakaki, je vois bien d'ici qu'on a fait. On vous donne ici la victoire. Bon, excellent. Vous êtes tous super, vous êtes tous doués. You're all talented. Bon. The next one, mais l'ouvrier vous a déçu. Vous avez liberté de feindre. Avec plus de raison, nous aurions the last but one reply, last but one blank. Nous aurions let me see how many of you. Déçu. Bon, ce n'est pas D-E-C-U, c'est plutôt, non, c'est déçu, c'est D-E-2-S-U-S, le déçu. So, yes, très bien quand même, hein, déçu. Si mes confrères savaient, the last one, si mes confrères savaient, thank you, you got the right answer there, déçu, that's not the, ce n'est pas le bon orthographe, D-E-2-S-U-S. D-E-S-S-U-S. Anyway, that's fine. You already got the pronunciation right. I mean, you got the phonetics part of it, correct. So, déçu. Très bien. Bon, let us move on to the next one, please. The last one. Si mes confrères savaient. Si mes friends. Voilà, parfait. So, if my colleagues had my colleagues known to paint. So that's interesting. So, très bien. Félicitations à tous et à toutes. Donc, bon, ce sont de très bonnes réponses. Excellent. C'est superb replies. So, félicitations, congratulations to you all. So, let us move on. So, this is the fable where, you got, this is one of the extracts from the book where you got this fable, abattu par l'homme. So, now I'm going to translate a bit for those who don't know French. So, this is, it's a lion knocked down by the man. So for a change, you can we have already listened to the fable in French, and a picture for the public view was placed in an exhibition where a painter had an enormous lion floored by a single man. Yes, spectators were elated and were speaking about the glory of the men when a passerby, a lion, said, "I see that the victory is yours in the picture. But the painter had the liberty to fake. Reversed would be the scene if my fellow men knew to paint. That is, if the lion knew to paint. So had the lions knew to paint, had the lions, confrère, what is confrère? That is the colleagues. So he says that if my colleague knows to paint, the reality would have come out. The reality is that, the lion would have killed the man. It's not, what you see in the picture. So that is an interesting fable. Hein? C'est une fable intéressante, captivante. Bon, and we have vocabulary part of it just to the left of the picture there. Of course, the line says "Quelle audace," how dare? Okay, you cannot paint a picture like that. Yes, they got a vocabulary part. So why the vocabulary? Because you have some literary terms in your fable. So you got to the left, literary terms, and to the right. Les synonymes en français facile. So that is, synonyms in easy French. Easy French. So you got all that here. And above the picture, you got connaissez mieux La Fontaine. So know better about La Fontaine. So it's so there's a small text about La Fontaine. And each of the lesson, in every lesson there in the book, you have you got some a set of 12 fables there. And in every lesson, you got some information about La Fontaine. Yeah, so then you got, of course, another extract from the same fable. You got a vocabulary section. Trouver le synonyme des mots suivants dans la fable. So that is find out the synonym of the following words in the fable. Montrer, dessiner, il y a dessiner, montrer, to show, énorme, énorme, as in English. L'autonomie, autonomy, and satisfait l'honneur, l'honneur is honor. Hope, I mean, I'm sure you'll find French easy. So that's we have got so much of similarities with English. So faites des phrases avec les mots suivants. So make sentences with the following words: terrasser, tirer, victoire, victory, liberté, liberty. So you got all similar words, phonology, and also the vocabulary. I mean the lexical part of it. Yes. Compréhension écrite, so that is the written comprehension. So when you read the fable, lisez la fable et répondez aux questions suivantes. So that is read the fable and reply to the following questions. Qu'est-ce que l'artisan a fait? So what did the painter do? Qu'est-il arrivé au lion? So what happened to the lion? And so on. Yes. And of course, the grammar part, we have got conjuguer le verbe entre parenthèses à l'imparfait. So conjugate the verbs within brackets in the imperfect tense. So you got the verbs in the fable, which you'll be conjugating in the imperfect tense. Imparfait is a very important tense in French. You know that it's one of the tenses in the past. Yes, you got the passé composé, imparfait, puisque parfait, and also passé récent. Well, moving on, civilisation. We got the civilisation part, which is important. We got expression imagée. Yes, imagery expressions. So let me read out this expression. Qui tue le lion mange, qui ne le tue pas est mangé. So this is a proverb Arab. So it is an Arab proverb which says, the one who kills a lion eats it, and who doesn't is eaten. So well, these are imagery expressions which are good to hear. And then you got production écrite, written expression, which is all important as well. Le lion raconte à son ami ce qu'il a vu à l'exposition. The lion narrates to his friend what he saw in the exhibition. Exposition is exhibition. Imaginez et rédiger un petit texte. Imagine and write a small text. So every fable in this book will have all these 4 or 5 columns, and you'll be working on different skills. That is lexic, that is vocabulary, then the compréhension écrite, production écrite. Of course, everything is in French. So once you get to know some French, it will be easy for you. And as I told you, you'll be experiencing the joy of learning. So for orders, of course, you got the mail over there. Okay, so well. So I think we have gone through fables, and we have also gone through, the importance of literature in class of Fleur. And well, you now know how interesting the fables are. But you may wonder how rewarding is learning French. So there you are. Important career options with French. You can become a teacher or a professor. It's in schools, colleges, universities. There's a lot of demand. Translator, yeah, French to English, vice versa. Tamil to English, English Tamil, Hindi English, Hindi French, vice versa. Interpreter, hotel industry, lot of French, words are used, since you know that France is the gastronomy hub. Yeah. Aviation jobs, you were an air hostess, tourism, travel guide, etc. Entrepreneur, yes, you can start your own business. KPOs, knowledge processing outsource, with you can be employed with different MNCs, multinational concerns, and even cinema subtitling, which might be interesting for you. Giving subtitles in French, and yeah, that's that is a good career to take up as well. So we got number of options, career options with French, and finally to become a writer when you master the language. Why not? And still it continues. Well, career options continue. Business products, French labeling. So, and then you got French and Francophone concerns. There's a number of French and Francophone concerns, banks, IT, with allied and related skills, of course. So if you are into engineering, you can go in for French IT concerns, and if you are into commerce, you can go into banks, and of course management into different francophone concerns. I've just given 3 examples, but for many of your choices, that is many of your what do you call options, it may be management, commerce, or even any other, engineering or science. You've got always, French as a supplement. Okay. Well, so you've all seen the career options with French after witnessing literary presentation with the fables. So from this session, you'll understand that fables are a source of creative thinking and originality of expression, so which reaches the target group. The subtle nature of communication allows people to consider the ideas on its merits. La Fontaine sneaks in the message to the king and his council of ministers through his masterpiece, Fables. Well, so before saying over, let me have a few questions from you. If you have any queries, we can type them out, and I'll be glad to reply to them.
Yes, you can post, participants can post their queries in the chat box. Students, if you have any questions, si vous avez des questions, vous pouvez poser des questions à Monsieur Vijayan.
And also to give you information, fables, there are 240 fables divided into 3 collections. Okay, so that's also important to know.
There was a discussion earlier, Vijayan, which was happening in the chat, where there was a very interesting notion that even though it is easy to learn French when it is connected with a story, like with fables, it is sometimes difficult to read literary texts. It is sometimes difficult to read literary texts and
not always. So what I say, yeah. Sorry, you can.
How does one deal with that? And that was the discussion.
Exactly. Not all literary works can be used in a French language class, in a flow class. So basically, fables, as I told you, is simple. The language is simple, and even the construction of sentences is not difficult. So few literary words are there, so that you find, few literary words, which for which the meanings are, the synonyms are given in the book Fable. Otherwise, even though it's a form of poetry, when you go to the fables, you understand that the language is very simple and it's not really difficult. Even a niveau 1, this level 1 student can understand it. After having some 30-40 hours of French, it's easy for him to understand and then answer. And you also have some literary texts as well, like Étranger, where you got simple French used. She's allée chez l'Est.
There is a question,
and so on. So you got not all literary works are difficult.
Is your book available on Amazon?
Yeah, it is available on Amazon as well. Yes. In presentation of clippings can be made of own. No, I don't get you. I'm sorry. Translate is very always should Google. Well, it's in a good question, but when a person translates, when a human, there's always a difference between a significant difference between human translation and a machine translation. That's all I can tell.
The next question is.
Yes, certainly. This book Fable can be used in class of law. Certainly, that's meant for it. Est-ce qu'on peut utiliser la littérature pour l'enseignement? Même au niveau 1, ça dépend. Donc, voilà. Disons fin niveau 1 ou bien mi-niveau 1, disons niveau 1. So you can use it even in the middle of. It depends on the text, really. As I told you, Fables is always easy. Avec les fables, c'est toujours facile. Bon, vous pouvez l'aborder même au niveau 1. Aucun problème. How do we master speaking French? Yes, with a lot of practice. Practice makes you perfect. That's the only way. Of course, listening to a lot of, of course, videos. We got a number of interesting pedagogy videos and audio stuffs available with you in the libraries. So how can you improve oral skills in French? If yes, as I told you, it's more with conversing with your friends. Keep conversing in French whenever whenever you have the opportunity, and of course, interactive sessions in class. Participate in them. So that's where you gain confidence. Comment apprendre beaucoup de mots? Alors, en lisant des fables. Bon, vous apprenez des mots en lisant. Voilà, bon, vous avez toujours voilà, le dictionnaire. Bon, vous avez un bon dictionnaire qui pourra vous aider à trouver le sens des mots. How can you teach small children in school using fables? Well, the best way is to, quand j'ai conçu ce livre, when I, wrote this book, I thought of that as well. So you can, of course, narrate, read out the fable and line by line, and then, always translate them into English and ask them, to reply. So as I told you, fables are meant for all ages. So you can use it for anybody. So only that the class control should be there. That's all.
Is your book available on Amazon still, Vijayan? There's a question.
I've not checked. It must be available in Amazon. Otherwise, you can mail to that fable.fables@gmail.com if really it's not available. It should be available. I've not checked it. So, yeah. Comment pouvons-nous enseigner les beginners? Voilà. Bon, voilà. En général, ce que vous faites. Bon, avant d'aborder une fable, vous pouvez donner une petite introduction. You can give a small introduction about the fables, and then go on to the fable, and vous pouvez faciliter donc la compréhension. That is, you can, always try to facilitate understanding by giving, as I told you, equivalent terms for literary works, and of course. The two new, there are some, kind of, what do you call two new different. So there you can explain. Okay? So you can always explain that this is equivalent. You can give an English equivalent to that. Yeah. And then of course you got the 4 skills. Always better to do. You got the listening part. The book also comes with the CD, so you can listen to the CD first. You can try giving the answers. There's the coach. That is twice you can listen to the fable, try to give the answers. Then you can read through the fable, translate if necessary. Then the vocabulary section, grammar section. That is pedagogy anti-chief. So where you can ask the students to give the rules themselves. And then you can always reply to the grammar section, and then of course civilisation. Production écrite à la fin. So the written stuff in the last, where you use all the skills which you have done before.
How to initiate language using fables?
Well, to initiate language using fables to students, that's interesting. That's an interesting question. You cannot initiate a language using fables, so they need to know some French, basic French. Let's say some 20-30 hours of French, and then you can always use fables. So once they get to know the basic vocabulary, you can always start using fables. Let's say 40 hours, 30-40 hours of French. So do not use fable right in the beginning. We might get scared. Can you get French fables in English and French and English at the same time in the same book? Well, I have not translated the fables into English, but I can find translations online. I'm sure, for the fables, which might help you.
I guess we are done with the questions, Vijayan. That was the last question.
Yeah.
The participants are saying that they have found the book on Amazon.
Right. Okay.
So this book cannot be purchased. A hard copy of this book cannot be purchased from our institute. So that was one of the questions. So I'll just answer that for you.
Okay.
The book cannot be purchased from our institute. So Mr. Vijayan holds the sole copyright to the books, and they are available only on the platforms which he chooses to sell the book on. So you can please purchase the book from Amazon. If it, I'm sure you have found it there, as you say. Uh, I guess if you have any other, if you don't have any other questions, si vous avez des questions encore, can we get fables in French and English?
Sorry?
Can we get fables in French and English?
As I told you, I'm not sure whether you have. Well, maybe there are books which are available, in French and English. Well, I'm not sure. You need to check out. But particular book is only in French. But as I told you, I guess I gave the answer here. That is, you find translations of fables in the net. So I'm sure you can use it. So it's easy to use. It's easy that way.
I guess we are done with the questions. Rama ma'am.
Yes,
Right. So I hope you learners have enjoyed the session. So as the sponsors will
yeah.
take over.
Yes, yes. Yes, Walter.
Ma'am, shall we proceed
Yes,
to
yes.
the end of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
session,
please.
ma'am?
Yeah, please, please.
Uh,
Preeta.
I thank all the participants for joining us here. At this juncture, I would like to request Ms. Preeta Basu, Assistant Professor, Department of English and Other Foreign Languages, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, to give the vote of thanks. Preeta, over to you.
Thank you. It gives me immense pleasure to give the vote of thanks today as an end to a wonderfully informative interactive webinar organized by Department of English and Other Foreign Languages, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram, Chennai. At the outset, I would like to thank the Almighty for showering us with the grace and blessings for the smooth conduction of the program. I would like to thank and place on record my sincere appreciation to Mr. Vijayan, Assistant Professor, Mahatma Gandhi College, Mahe, for accepting to conduct this webinar for Plus 2 diploma and college students. He has animated this event with his flair for the French language teaching and learning, and we are grateful to have in our midst a resource person of his caliber. A grand merci, Monsieur Vijayan. It goes
Thank
without
you. Miss
saying
you.
that the one person who is behind the motivation and success of all our department events is our HOD, Dr. Rema, who by the sheer power of will and by the grace of God is not only a dynamic leader but also an incredible support to each and every of our department faculty and is the driving force behind each and every department event. Thank you so much, ma'am. I will be failing in my duty if I don't place on record my sincere thanks and appreciation to all our department faculty members who have contributed wholeheartedly to the success of this event. I would also like to thank my coordinator, Dr. Walter, who has been instrumental in conducting the entire program from start to finish and his tech support. And last but not the least, I thank each and every participant for their participation and cooperation in making this program a success. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Preeta. Uh, as a last request to the participants, I would like to mention that the link to the feedback form has been sent in the chat. So you can fill the feedback form, and to get your certificate, you will receive your certificate within 2 days. So please kindly await the same. Once you fill the feedback form, you will not receive your certificate immediately. You will receive your certificate within 2 days in the same email you have registered with. Please make sure that the details you fill in the feedback form are correct, because that is exactly what will appear on your certificate. So thank you all. Rama ma'am.
Yes, yes, Walter. So thank you. I think I should thank Vijayan once again. because
Oh,
he's made it he's made it so interactive, and it was very, very forthcoming to see the young participants, come out with so many answers. I think we should thank them also immensely. And of course, I don't have to say Walter and Preeta have been the pillars of support for any kind of program by providing the technical support. So I want to thank them also. Thank you, Vijayan, once again.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank you so
ma'am.
much. Thank you,
Thank you,
Vijayan.
Vijayan.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thanks to all the participants. You can start leaving the session. We will end the session in 2 minutes.
Now, Walter, I'll make a move. There is a call from
Okay,
the
ma'am.
team.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
So thank you to one and all. So, Ramapuram for Abhiyantu.
Yes.
See you soon.
Okay,
So
so
most of the participants were very interested in the interaction, Vijayan. So they are
Good to hear
extremely
that.
happy. And your presentation was also excellent, if I may say so myself.
Thank you.
Even though I've seen it, but it was the way you delivered was really excellent. So
Merci
merci,
beaucoup.
merci
Thank you very much,
beaucoup.
and I'm happy to see the participants, interacting with me. So many
Yes,
right answers coming up. So was,
yes, yes,
they have some information with them. So that's interesting
yes.
to know.
The response was really good. The
Yes,
response was really.
they were really, and I can see that they were involved in the webinar.
Yes, 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 yes.
the ones who
All
are
right.
responding to are mostly learners of French. So
A lot of
that's
French,
why,
yes.
yes,
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 they might not be knowing, knowing about La Fontaine or about Fables, but they'll get to
yes,
know
yes.
very soon. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
about French, about the French literature as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Fine. I think it's time to leave then. So, Abhiyanto then. So,
Okay,
anything else?
let's end the session. The participants can leave the session. Thank you all once again so much, and please don't worry about the certificate. You will receive the certificate in your registered emails once you submit the feedback form. Thank you so much, one and all. Thanks, Vijayan.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah.
Okay, I'm
Thank you,
ending the class.
Vijay. Thank you, everybody,
Thank you.
for
Yeah, thank you.
participating today.
Thank you very
Merci
much.
beaucoup.
Merci
Participants.
beaucoup, merci beaucoup, Rita. Bon, voilà. Au revoir, à bientôt.
Au revoir, au revoir.
Au revoir.
Bye.